Alright, the purpose of this video is to give an introduction to OpenERP 7.0 and compare it to version 6.11. I'm going to jump right in. I'll just call it version 6 to keep things short. And so here's a version 6 OpenERP sales order. So we should be familiar with what this standard kind of sales order look is like in version 6. I'm going to jump over here real quick and we'll look at a sales order in version 7. As you'll see, it is cleaned up considerably. It looks more like a paper type sales order, and we'll look at that just a little bit longer. Then I can jump back again and you'll see the difference there. You'll notice that on version 6 that the progress was down here at the bottom of moving from a quotation to in progress and to being done. Here in version 7 they've expanded the workflow a little bit to provide more information and moved it to the top right corner instead. Part of the reason for that is in version 7 your history with a particular order is automatically tracked here, and so looking at the sample data we can see when it was created, when it got converted to a sales order, when the delivery was scheduled, and then finally when it was paid. And it gives you a opportunity here to immediately communicate with the interested parties and the customer and so forth, basically by using this add contacts here. So you can type something out like need delivery instructions and then pick the contact. In this case the customer Agrolate is in the list here. We could pick them like that, for example, and then add other people, for example, to communicate directly right from the sales order. I think we're seeing here with 7.0 that they've really worked hard to integrate communication and social media and those kind of attributes into the core system. Looking at a few more of just the general interface items that you're going to notice here in OpenERP 7.0 is the overall structure's changed just a little bit. Here in 7.0 all the modules have been pushed right up against the top of the page, right next to the URL, and I think that was a good design decision, because if you look at 6.1 you'll see that there's like kind of a lot of wasted space up here, and that the sales order itself doesn't get started till all the way into an inch and a half down the screen, and you got your modules taking up this space. In 7.0 the sales order starts right near the top. I think that adds to making it more clean and giving a little more real estate to work with for whatever task you're on. Alright, now I'm going to take a quick look here at version 7's change and how they manage searching and finding records. Here in version 6 you'll notice that we have the fields kind of hard coded up here, taking up screen real estate, and you're not seeing data here, it's just taking up space in a sense. In version 7 they're going for a more clean look. You can see when you look at the list of customers here that you don't have all those fields taking up space, and on the right you can use the search here. If you need advanced searching, here's where you can go down and choose from like pretty much any of the fields that are in the sales order. So if you wanted to search by a phone number, you can go that way, for example, and say I want everybody who has 558 in there, hit apply, and now we see the customers that have 558 as their phone number. Alright, now I'm going to show a little bit more depth of the searching and exactly how it works. You'll notice here on our customer screen in the 6th version that you have all these basically hard-coded fields. But when you go to 7, you don't see them. What OpenERP in 7 does is you still have these fields, but it just basically hides them till you need them. So, for example, if I type a U in here, immediately we've got our sales team and our salesperson as well as our country that's getting filtered out. And if I go as far as to typing out United States, we'll see that it's smart enough here to now limit that down inside of country. So just like that, I've got just a list of customers in the United States. Another aspect here of OpenERP is that in the 6.0 version, the reports were kind of scattered out. In other words, if you're in the sales module here in 6.0 and you click reporting, you'll have here are your sales reports, and your purchase report, they're under here. And it all gets kind of divided out as to your reporting. One of the things they've done in 7.0 is they now have a dedicated reporting option up here. When you click that, now it's going to show all your dashboards in a summary up here. So if you want to see your CRM dashboard, for example, we don't have a whole lot of data in here, but as you can see, that these are basically the dashboards for the various modules. And then you have your different reporting options all located here in one place. So that's a definitely a significant change, and the idea here is to kind of consolidate reporting for the user rather than having to jump all over between modules to get to the various reports you might want to work with. And along the lines of dashboards, while we're talking about that, in the older 6.0 version, here's an example of a dashboard. They have nice looking dashboards, but it was always there was a bit of a challenge to creating new dashboards, and it wasn't really obvious, and there was a little bit of work to do that. In 7.0, they've made that actually quite easy to create your own dashboards and extend existing dashboards. So here I'm going to look at my dashboard, for example. I have an empty dashboard. Nothing's happened for me yet. And you'll notice they have instructions right here on the screen that says to add the first report to your dashboard. You can go to any menu, switch to the list or graph, and click Add to Dashboard. So let's give that a shot. Let's say we want in our custom dashboard list of customers. So I can go here to the list of customers, and actually that's probably not a great dashboard item. Let's instead do leads. And so I'll go to leads, for example, and then in here under the options here, there's an add to dashboard, and when I click that, it lets you pick which dashboard you wish to add that item to, and I'll just say my dashboard and hit add, and it tells you the filter is added to the dashboard. Now let's jump over and look at, say, you're also wanting to track the purchase orders that are open. So you could go here to this purchase order screen. You're in the list view, so you can go right up here and hit add to dashboard, and we'll add that to our dashboard. Now I don't like the name it's giving here for this, so I'm going to actually rename this to purchase orders and hit add. And let's just pick one more for the heck of it. Let's see if there's anything in projects to do. Oh yeah, we got projects to list here. So I'm going to go here to list view, and there is a graph view. Let's see what that graph view looks like. Might be worth trying just to see how that looks in our Kanban. In our dashboard. So I'm going to add to dashboard and say projects. and hit add. So now if we go here to reporting, and it's going to pull up my dashboard, we're going to see our projects, our purchase orders, and our CRM lead search. Another feature that's in 7 really kind of shows that a lot of the core communication and social media aspects have really evolved, moving from version 6 to version 7. In OpenERP 7, if we jump over there real quick, I'm going to click on the home just so you can see it goes. Basically, you get a news feed, and what this does, you can essentially subscribe to alerts and different modules, and it shows you a running list of everything that's happened. I can hit load more messages down here, and you'll see that you can actually go down this list and see all the actions. There's a lot of procurement going on here, which is obviously from the purchasing module, but you know, like if something's been picked, for example, this particular transaction, you can click on it and it'll take you right to the particular transaction that created that listing in the feed. Also, like there's a my posts, which when you do things will create, these are things that as you take actions create things. Alright, just a couple more small things that have been cleaned up, if you haven't noticed them yet, is in 6.0 the menus over here, I can't say that they're unfriendly, but you don't get to see all your options until you actually click on a particular item, and that can make things kind of a little hard to find. If we jump over here to version 7 and look at sales, for example, you'll notice that everything is broken out. Even if we go into probably the most complicated one, accounting, you'll notice that they've broken things out for the most part, and only when they have to do they collapse things down. So you get a much cleaner interface and more easily navigate the system than, say, if you go over here and look at accounting in version 6. You just can't really see everything as clearly as you can here in version 7. Alright, let's take a quick look at the difference in the Kanbans. The functionality is pretty much the same. You can pick items up here and move them between the various categories, and if you click on them you have these options available. This when we jump over here is a look at we'll go over to sales, so we're looking at kind of the same kind of thing. Look at the Kanban for it. Here's the look of the 7.0 versus the look of the 6. They've made it a little more interesting, that when you drag and drop, it kind of shows you where you're going to drop it a little better, and it tilts it so you kind of know what you're moving around. Another thing they did was they moved the options here to a pop-up to set colors and to do these kinds of things, whereas on the version 6 these are kind of taking up room down here at the bottom. It's not necessarily a huge improvement, but it kind of goes along with what they're doing to, where am I dropping this? Well, I'm not really sure. It's not quite as clear in this version, and here in version 7 they've cleaned things up. Another improvement that they've done in 7.0 is, if you look at configuration, it's kind of a little bit of a mess in here in 6.0. There's a lot of things that you kind of have to look through to find, and it's spread out across the different modules. So you go here to the warehouse configuration to see all it has, and the sales, what it needs to do and what you need to do to configure it. In version 7, when you go to settings and click on a particular module here, they've consolidated the configuring in under the settings. So if I need to configure the sales module, here is all the options that I need to configure that particular module. The same would go if we have to configure the purchasing module or the manufacturing module. If I go to sales, I don't have the configuration stuck in under the day-to-day operations and what you're doing. So in version 6, you got all this configuration like stuffed in under your sales module, and then you go to your settings and there's more customizations and configurations under here as well. In version 7, you go to settings and sales, and all your options are right there and a little more cleanly laid out, all in one screen, rather than in version 6. Your configuration is a little bit more hard to really tell what is an actual configuration component and what you might work with on a more common basis. There's no loss of functionality. All the features are still there. They've just done a better job of dividing up what you would call configuration and what you might normally do in your day-to-day work environment. Alright, I'm going to finish this up with a walkthrough of a sales order or a quotation from beginning to end, and we can see how 7.0 looks at the whole flow. So I'll create the quotation, and as you can see, it's a lot cleaner interface. I'll pick our customer, and one of the things they've done when you add the row is they've done the inline editing now. So rather than bringing up a separate screen, it's basically doing it inline. I believe I've heard that they are going to allow this to work also with the previous way, where it would bring up its own separate screen. And let's fill in, say, 20 of these. Now the taxes thing, I think they got a little bit of a screen draw thing. This is a what you call a beta. It's not even out of beta yet. This hasn't been released. They call it a trunk version. But I'm going to go ahead and we'll hit update, and we'll see it go ahead and do what it's supposed to do. It's just there's a little work here, obviously, on getting some of the screen redraw to work. Alright, so here we have our quotation. I'm going to go ahead and confirm it. And once it's confirmed here, you know, it's essentially, once the quote is confirmed, it's turned into a sales order. And we've got that here. At that point that it's a sales order, we can create the invoice for it. And let's go ahead and create and view the invoice. So it's going to quickly here give us a nice clean invoice to look at that essentially needs just to be validated. And let's go ahead and show the send by email option. So we'll hit send by email, and it's going to bring up a template here, and we'll go ahead and leave that as it is for now and hit send. And you notice it automatically has the contact filled in here, so we'll just hit send. So that sends off the invoice by email, and of course then you can still print the invoice if you needed to. And there's the printed invoice. And let's go ahead and register the payment. They've improved this screen as well. You'll notice that if we hit validate, we'll just show this as an example. It's going to warn us that we haven't selected a payment method. So let's go ahead and pick cash. And when I pick cash here, you'll notice that it's already created the journal line item. So it's giving us a little more detail than we had previously. And when I hit validate now, it's going to go ahead and create the journal entries and write them out here on the screen for you to see. And up here it updates the status as posted. So there we quickly created a quote, we went and made a sales order, we sent out an email, and we registered the payment, like all there just in a few minutes. If we look down here at the bottom, you'll notice that for this particular invoice that we'll see the trail of items that created that. And if we go to our home and look at my feeds here, this is like at this point, you know, showing, let me make it a little bit bigger here, show more messages. A quotation for Chow Wang was created and then canceled. Here's my one that I created for Bank Wealthy Sons was created. And if I wanted to go back and look at that quotation, I can click that and look at the original quotation. Like they had a bug there, but essentially what this is showing you is all of your actions are pretty much consolidated down here into your news feed. So if you wondered what you were doing throughout the day, that you can go here to this list and see exactly what you did. And I'm going to take a look at this as an example. Let's bring up this invoice here. So this is what got emailed to the customer. It says, "Hello, Bank Wealthy and Sons, a new invoice is available," and it shows the references and the total. So it gives them kind of a summary here, and it says that they can view the actual invoice document by clicking on this view invoice. And I'm going to go ahead and click this, and it's going to behave a little bit different for me because I'm signed in as an administrator and so forth. But essentially what this allows them to do, as you can see, it gives them a nice clean looking invoice here that they can view and print. And this part over here on the right, this is not something that the end customer will see. The reason that we're seeing this is because we're a administrator and we're logged in, and it's going to actually allow us to import this document into to our OpenERP system. But as you can see, the customer here received an email, and then they receive a direct link where they can view their invoice and print it out. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I hope this kind of gives a bit of an overview of what's going to change between working in version 6 and version 7. To me, it looks like that the development team has tried to take a step forward in making the interface cleaner and making the software more accessible. The other takeaway that I can't really demonstrate visually is that under the hood there's been a lot of changes as well. They've made it so you can add a lot of functionality to the web client and to the end user experience that previously just was not possible in the older version. This version is supposedly several times faster and more efficient, and the code has been optimized, so we should get greater stability and greater performance. After working with it myself for probably 4 or 5 hours, I believe that the software is stable for not even being released yet. We're expecting that it's going to be released in a beta version here in the next week or so, but overall I'd have to say that it looks like a positive step forward, not necessarily a dramatic step forward, but certainly looks like that they've continued to upgrade this software and are moving in the right direction.